All right. Well, look, we are going to take a quick breather, and then we're going to come back because we have to continue our conversation about kickers and kickoffs and kicking. Daggone it. They just taking too
We
much of our
do have a
time.
theme. The last two episodes have been
We
about kickers.
do. It's craziness. Oh my goodness. All right, kickers, you're getting some love. But look, check out my guy, Mr. Anton Benton, man. Summertime. Need some work done? Hit him up.
Hello, ladies and gents. It's Anton, your local awesome artist. Just here to let you know it's summertime. Projects need to get done. Are you being lazy on them? So if you got indoor projects, outdoor projects, like this pergola here, just got painted. Call me, I'll have your job done. See you later.
Yeah, buddy. Shout out to my guy, Mr. Anton Benton, based out of Virginia Beach, but he will travel. He does decks, he does floors, he does ceilings, in house, out house, um, whatever you need him done, whatever you need done. Reach out to him, and he will definitely get in touch with you. And even if he can't get it done himself, he'll definitely put you in touch with somebody that potentially can. Um, so definitely get out of that. But look, we are back. This is Let's Talk Football Breaking News. Myself, Mr. Sean Spencer, my lovely partner, Miss Tina Winter. And Tina, we're getting close to the season, and as we're close to the season, some things have changed this year, including the kickoff. Tina, the kickoff has changed really quickly. So talk to us about the new kickoff rules. I'm gonna play this little clip we have so you can explain it a little bit better. But yeah, go ahead, Tina. Let us know about this the new kickoff rules.
Okay, so here's the new rules, guys. So to make it a little bit easier, just remember that, yep, this is what's set up. So landing zone is from the end zone to the 20-yard line. The setup zone is from the 30 to the 35. And this kickoff start line, which is where the kicking team starts, is going to be on the receiver's 40-yard line. And then the kicker is back at the 35-yard line of their team's side. And as you can also see on the bottom one, it's showing where different people are, and I'll explain that. The reason why I wanted to explain what's going on with those is because it's complicated, but not complicated is the way to kind of explain it. All the kicking team has to line up on the 40-yard line with their feet on the 40-yard line. They start there, their feet are there. They cannot move until the ball hits in the landing zone or one of the receivers catches the ball. Okay. And the kicker can't cross the 50-yard line until the ball hits the ground or is caught in the landing zone, too. The only people that can move during this whole process are the two receivers and the kicker. Until that, everybody has to stay in their positions until the ball hits the ground in the landing zone or the receiver catches it. All right. So the receiving team will have 9 players. 7 of them have to be on the setup line with their feet on with 1 foot on the 35-yard line. So that's the setup is the 30 to the 35, but they have when the kick happens, they have to have their feet on the 35-yard line.
Right.
So then you have 2 receivers in the back, and they can roam that landing zone. They can move, they can adjust, you don't have just one kickoff returner. Now you have 2 back there. So any kick that is in the landing zone has to be returned or there's penalties. So they can't let the ball just drop in the landing zone or take a knee or something like that. They have to move the ball. All right. So those are the basics. Now comes all the questions that I know everybody has. And as someone called it on Twitter, I think it's really, really true. It's almost a game of red light, green light, because the receiving team and the kicking team can't move until the ball lands or is caught, and then they can go. So a lot of people are like, why are they doing this? Couple of reasons. And then I'll get into all the various scenarios of like what will happen if you don't do this. And yeah, Cameron just asked, is this happening this year? Yes, it's happening this year. It starts this year and it's good for 1 year right now. So what ends up happening with this is that they're doing it for 2 reasons. One, safety. Because the receiving team and the kicking team, the people on those yard lines are really only 10 or 15 yards away from each other. They're not getting the 60 yards to get the speed up to be able to hit as hard as they've been doing. So yes, you're not going to be seeing these crazy kickoff returns where somebody just gets laid out flat anymore. And so the other reason they're doing it is they're trying to create more kickoff returns. Last year, the kickoff return rate in the NFL in 2023 was just under 22%.
Yep.
Okay.
Almost been eliminated. Yeah.
Everybody that's like, all they do is kick it out of bounds. They never return the ball. This is what the NFL's doing to try and create situations that points can be scored, that these returns have to happen. So there's some strategy involved in this.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's real quick, let's take a look at what this kickoff will actually look like. We're going to run a quick little.
Yeah, they did this based off the XFL's kickoff return rules.
Redo it one more time just so we can see. So nobody.
See, there's the
once
kicker
the
in
ball's
the
kicked
back.
off, nobody can move until.
Yeah.
Now this one they only have the one guy back here, but you said they potentially have 2 guys. But they are not moving until this guy touches it.
Yeah, so that's generally how it will work. So some of the things that are coming up in people's minds is like, well, what if the ball is fumbled? Like, and as you can see, the kicking team is not going to be able to have the time to get to the returner to be able to create a fumble. So if there was a fumble, if he should drop it in the landing zone, there's a second guy there. He'll pick the ball up and he can go. So that's why the rule that if it lands in the landing zone and doesn't go out, and I'll discuss that, then it has to go forward. Someone has to pick it up and you have to take it. If you don't, there's penalties. It will go to the 35, etc.
Well, and it's a live ball too.
Yeah, and it's a live ball. Well, that's the thing is it's a live ball, but again, the defense, the kicking team isn't going to be able to get to the ball before the second guy comes in and gets the ball. That's the thing. Like it's live.
But it can't happen because even in all those scenarios, like with that one, they might not put the second guy back there to get more blockers.
They have
up
to.
There.
They have to. You can only have 9 guys out on the field during this, and 2 of them have to be in the landing zone.
Oh, 9 guys blocking?
Mm-hmm. There's 9 guys on the receiving team. 7 have to be in the setup zone, and 2 have to be in the landing zone.
Why is there not 11 guys on the kick return like every other play?
No. But I could be wrong. I'll check my numbers, but that's how I had it written down. So, okay. So a lot of people are like, well, the kicker can just kick the ball out of bounds. Nope. He kicks it out of bounds. It automatically goes to the 30-yard line. Where before it
kicks it out of the back of the end zone.
That's what I'm saying. He kicks it out of the back of the end zone. It doesn't even touch in the landing zone. Automatic 30-yard line versus
they
the
moved
20.
It up. Oh, wow.
Everything they're doing has a penalty for the teams. If they kick it short, if the ball does not land in the landing zone, which again is the 20-yard between the goal the goal line and the 20-yard line. If it doesn't land in the landing zone, it's a dead ball, and the ball goes to the 35-yard line.
Okay. Which is not bad.
So, oh, I'm sorry, I was wrong. It goes to the 40-yard line.
If it lands before, so it lands right behind.
If it lands between the setup zone and the landing zone, it goes to the 40-yard line automatically. If it lands in the landing zone but ends up going into the end zone, but not out the end zone, if it ends up rolling into the end zone, then the receiving team gets it at the 20-yard line.
Okay.
So a lot of these rules, it's better for the receiving team. They'll be further up. But if they let it roll into the end zone, then they're back at the 20.
Okay.
So there's a lot of it. And if it goes out the back, they're in the 30. So another thing to remember too is no fair catches. And yep, I'm going to lead right into this. No fair catches, no surprise onside kicks. And you can only do onside kicks in the fourth quarter, and you have to tell the refs, and everybody knows you're doing it.
Wow. That's going to be interesting.
Then it's the same rules as everything else, the typical onside kick. But if the kick goes beyond the setup zone and rolls, then the receiving team gets the ball back at the 20-yard line.
So it's almost like college. Once it goes in the end zone in college, it's dead immediately.
Yeah. And the stats came out on the onside kicks. Everybody thinks they're so great and la la la. Last year, only 2 of 15 actually worked. They don't work that often.
No, they don't. You have to know how to make the kick for sure. But with that, they were also thinking about wasn't there a rule that was potentially coming out where they were thinking about either giving the team the opportunity to do an onside kick or maybe do a play from like 4th and 30?
No, they didn't put that. They kept the normal rules. They just changed the rules as to when you would have an onside kick. I don't think so. Remember, they're already 10 yards away. So if you think about it, so if they're at the 40 and the setup zone is the 30, they're still 10 yards away, which is a typical onside kick.
But for this one, we're saying, are they going to go back to the original style of onside kick?
It's still going to be the same setup where they're at the 40. Yeah.
Wow.
I'll confirm it just to make sure that I'm right on that. But yeah, they're saying that everything would remain the same. So the receiving, there's no need for it. There really isn't.
So that at the end of the day, that goes into the final one of our new segments on here, and our final topic on here: overreaction or reality. And look, let's go right in with it. The new kickoff rules will ruin the game. Is that an overreaction or is that reality?
I think it's an overreaction. And I love special teams and kickoffs. I always have. I've honestly thought the way that they've dumbed down special teams over the last 20 years is just sacrilegious when it comes to football. But I think this is going to create situations because the kicker can no longer short it. He can't kick. He can't just boom it out because it's going to give the receiver an extra 10 yards. And we all know how important 10 yards can be in a game. So you're going to end. I think it may actually make it better and because your lines are going to it's going to be like pretty much trying to block in a normal game. You just have a little more room. It's going to be real blocking. You're going to have to the defense is going to have to try and figure out where the offense is going to go based on where the ball is. And there is an advantage to the kicking team because they're going to be able to see when the ball hits. The receiving team's not going to be able to see it because it's going to be behind their back.
Yeah.
So the receiving team's going to be playing off the defenders.
Yeah.
The other thing I think it will do is it's going to create a second kickoff return position.
Mm.
So it's not just going to be one guy, it's going to be two. So it could be like, oh, well, it's going to your side or it's going to my side. And that's strategy. Teams can decide how they want to do that. It's going to create strategy in terms of the kickoff teams, people on the line, like who's our best blockers, who will think along these lines. Because you saw in that clip, like everybody was kind of going in. It could create holes. That's going to become an issue. Like, let's be honest, you create a hole and that receiver gets through that hole, immediate touchdown.
Could be. Absolutely could be.
So
yeah, no, yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I think it's I mean I think in order to answer the question, you have to look at the alternative, and the alternative is them
getting rid of it.
Getting rid of it altogether. And I don't necessarily like it this way. I mean, but at the same time, as somebody that's been a kick returner and somebody that's been on the kickoff team, I mean, it's a kamikaze mission, man. You're running down as fast as you can and just literally lunging at somebody else, hopefully trying to get it. And look, that it has become far less prevalent for them to score. I mean, it used to be a lot. I don't want to say a lot easier, but I mean, it happened a lot more often now. Obviously, it does not. So in that regards, I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe this will open that up. Maybe this will bring back that threat, because if you had there was a time where if you had a good return guy, that was as good as a good wide receiver, a good running back. That was such a help to field position and helping your offense. Desmond Howard, we see what he did in Super Bowl, what was it, Super Bowl 31, I think it was, against the Patriots, where he returned the kicks and they won that Super Bowl for him. So honestly, I like that this is doing this, but it just looks weird. I don't know. It's just, you got two guys lining up, nobody can really move, and they have to just wait. And then once they move, it's kind of like, all right, we're just gonna do a little dance to see if I can get by you. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of weird. And
yeah, but the way I would look at it, especially for Bears fans, if you had Devin Hester in the backfield and he had this situation, think of what he would have been doing.
Would have been nice.
As great as he was at that position, he would have been even better.
The other side to this, though, is that it almost might not be as easy, because as somebody that's done a kick return, when you have certain layers coming down, they create certain pockets. Now with this situation, obviously it's like an offensive line, defensive line, where it's like if you see a hole, you get through. And then you're right, there's no safety, there's no secondary behind them. So if you get through this line, that's normally good. But I wonder if some of the strategy might be, for the pursuit to happen, where they come up to the line and they see, okay, he's going to the other side. Now this side almost kind of collapse on the other side, as opposed to everybody just staying here. And if he breaks free, then it goes through. So we'll see how this plays out. I mean, I'm not too familiar with it. I mean, I don't watch that much XFL, but it looks interesting. And this is just the new futuristic NFL that we're living in. No hip drop tackles, no.
Yeah, and the other thing, kind of like what I alluded to before, is this is going to start this year, but it's for 1 year at this point. If at the end of the year it doesn't work out, or they want to make changes to it, or they just want to disregard the whole thing, it's gone. So if it's not good and it doesn't create more points, I think it is going to be safer for the players, which I think that is one good thing.
I do agree with
that. But if it doesn't work out, it's gone. They'll come up with something else. And at that point, they could decide, you know what, we're just going to get rid of it anyways. One other thing that I think will end up happening is, I think scouting kickers is going to become more important. It's not going to be about the kid who has the biggest leg anymore. It's going to be about the kid that can actually place the ball within the hatches between the 20 and the goal line. Because that's where they have to get it. So those placement kickers are going to become more and more important. And I'm reading that a lot of colleges are now are starting to recruit guys that play rugby in Australia because their kickers are a lot of times are pinpointing where the ball goes. It's not always straight through the uprights. It's tapping it in certain positions. So this booming leg kickers are going to have to show some restraint, or receiving team automatic 40 all the time. Well, 40 if they drop it,
right.
40 if they drop it, 30 if they just kick it out of the end zone.
And then I think that's the thing. It depends on because if that kick returner is dangerous, then I'll take that offense starting off at the 30.
And that's what I'm saying. That's where the strategy becomes involved. Like, and if Bill Belichick was still on the Patriots, he'd have like a chart next to him of what the percentage is of every single kicker and where they hit it and where it would work. And that's what these special teams coaches need to be doing. That's why I think this is good for them, because it becomes about strategy. Do we just kick it out because we know they'll get it at the 30 and we're fine? Or do we let this happen? And so and also, I mean, like I said, if it lands in the landing zone, they have to return it. They can't just let it drop and roll anymore. Well, they can. They can. But it's not going to be on the 20 anymore. It's going to be here. That's the thing. So
it's going to be very interesting. Yeah. I'm looking forward to looking and seeing just how that thing plays out throughout the season. I mean, it's going to start week 1 or in the preseason, actually. So we'll take a look at the preseason.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of discussion about this. The refs aren't going to probably understand the rules in the beginning, et cetera, et cetera. My thought is, if the refs don't understand the rules in the preseason, forget it. This is just going to be craziness and everybody's going to be pissed off. So
we'll see.
Learn them, refs. Learn them.
Yeah, we'll definitely see how it plays out, because it's going to be something new.
Yeah. I mean, it's just going to be paying attention to what's going on. Like I said, if it lands below the landing zone, it's immediately a dead ball and it goes to the 40-yard line. Then at that point, if it's in the landing zone, certain things have to happen. And like I said, there's no more fair catches anymore.
Wow.
So I just think a lot of people are so used to those big, huge collisions on the kickoff return and everything, if they're not a fair catch. And the idea that you can force a fumble from the kick returner. So I don't know if we talked about that one, but at that point, it's my belief on it. So let's say, for instance, we had one of those where the kick returner gets to the line and one of the other defenders is able to pop the ball out. He hits him and pops the ball out. Then normal fumble rules would apply.
That makes sense.
So it would be treated like a fumble.
Yes. And you can still fair catch on punts. Yes. Punts is different.
Yes. Yeah. This is just the kickoff return.
Yes, that switched up the whole thing. That's interesting. That's very interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that whole thing goes into effect this year, and how the refs call it, because like you said, that could be, that's where everybody else is going to get their kind of position on.
That's where the cons are going to really start conning on the game, because it seems pretty simple to me from the way that they seem complicated, because there's so many. Well, if this happens, this happens.
Right.
But
college
pretty,
is not doing this.
No,
they're not. It's just
they have their own.
Yeah, college is still doing the same old. But the NFL is doing it this, and it, like Tina said, it's just this year that they're doing it, so it's just a trial to see. But I mean, and hopefully this is an effort to kind of amp up those kick returns, because in the year that Devin Hester gets into the Hall of Fame, like Tina said, I mean, it's 20% actual return rate in the NFL this year. So maybe this will kind of bring it back. So if this is bringing it back, then I'm for it. Me, as somebody that has played the game, I hate it. I think it's ridiculous. What is it? But I understand exactly from a safety standpoint and from an excitement standpoint and what they're trying to do. So I'll reserve judgment to see, how many touchdowns we score from it. If we do, we're good. If we don't, I hate
Well, the people that are checking, like based on what's happened and everything, the prognosticators are saying it could be upwards to 40, an increase up to 40 to 50% of the kickoff returns. Because
that.
again, like I said, if it lands in the landing zone, they have to return it.
Mm-hmm.
They can't just kneel. I want everybody to be very clear about that. They can't kneel once they catch it. They have to return it, or they have to take the pre-decided. I think what I said, like it goes on the 20. Yeah. It would be on the 20. So there really isn't that there's pluses and minuses for all of this, and that's, like I said earlier, that's the strategy. That's where doing some things is going to decide what you're going to do. And coaches like Harbaugh and Tomlin and some of these guys that are very particular about every situation and looking into things, this is going to become interesting to see how they play this. So, but it's not, like you said, it doesn't affect punts. It just affects the kick returns. So
we'll see. Well, there it is. There it is, ladies and gentlemen.